Another area we are looking at now in production of flowering plants is pollination and fertilization. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grain from the anther to the stigma of a flower. We have two types: self-pollination, which is transfer of pollen from anther of a flower to the stigma of the flower or another flower on the same plant. So if the pollen grain is transferred from the anther of a flower to the stigma of the same flower, is self-pollination. If the pollen grain is transferred from the anther of a flower to another flower on the same plant, it is also self-pollination. Then that of cross-pollination, my second type, is the transfer of pollen from the anther of a flower to the stigma of another flower on another plant of the same species. Characteristics of self-pollinated flowers: they are dull, small, and inconspicuous. So the possibility of insect or other animal to see them and visit them, and by accident or by design carry pollen grain from the flower to another, is remote. They exhibit crystogamy. In this case, the flower remains on board until fertilization and fruiting. So there is no possibility for cross-pollination. And the flower can exhibit dichogamy. In dichogamy, that is, the stamen and the ovary, they are maturing in different time. If the anther of the stamen matures before the ovary, the flower is protandry. And if the ovary is the first to get matured while the anther is still young, is protogamy. They may exhibit self-sterility, that is incompatibility. If the pollen grain falls on the stigma of the same flower, the pollen grain will not germinate. The flower can be epipetalous. In other words, the stamens are borne on the petals. As the carpels growing through the wall of the corolla, it grows through the stamen and pick the pollen grain. The flower can either be bisexual or borne on monoecious plants. In other words, it's bisexual if both male and female reproductive structure is in the same flower. And if the flower is borne by the plant, that is, the plant is bearing male and female flower at the same time, such a plant is monoecious. In monoecious plant, it is only self-pollination that can take place, because the plant is either bearing only the female flowers, like as we have in some pawpaw, or is bearing only the male flowers. So we have an example of monoecious plants as pawpaw, palm tree, and so on. Characteristics of cross-pollinated flowers. Such flowers are brightly colored, big and conspicuous, and scented, so that it attracts insects that will visit them and carry pollen grain from flower to flower. They are usually unisexual or be borne on dioecious plant. If a flower is only male flower, it cannot pollinate itself. If it's female, only female flower, that is unisexual. Only female part is in the flower, or only male part is in the flower. Therefore, such flower cannot pollinate itself. And if the flower are borne on dioecious plant, dioecious plant is a plant that bears only either the male or female flower. So the possibility of self-pollination is not there except cross-pollination. In cross-pollination, we say they exhibit homogamy. In monogamy, the stamen and the anther, they mature at the same time. What is fertilization? Fertilization is the union of the main nucleus in pollen tube with the nucleus of the egg to form an embryo. The union of second main nucleus with secondary cell in the ovule to form endosperm makes fertilization of flowering plants to be double fertilization. So we are going to look at some questions based on pollination and fertilization. Question number 1. Which of these organisms is not a flower pollinator? A. Sunbird. B. Bee. C. Earthworm. D. Butterfly. This question is testing our ability to know the agent of pollination. We know that we have agents of pollination. One of them is animal. The second one is wind. Then we have man, and then we have water. But this time there are some names of animals here which help to pollinate flower. Which of them is not helping us to pollinate flower? A. Sunbird. Sunbird are those tiny birds you see around flowers. Bees are known to collect pollen grains from one flower to the other. The butterfly is also known to visit flowers, but earthworm is not. So answer is C. Question 2. Which of these characteristics is not of insect pollinated flowers? A. Possession of brightly colored petals. B. Possession of nectary glands. C. They are large and conspicuous. And D. They produce large quantity of polygrain. This question is based on a flower designed for insect pollination, and we also have some flower designed for wind pollination. And these two sets of flowers, they have their own characteristics. Now, out of the 4 alternatives here, one is not for insect pollinated flower, but wind pollinated flower. And that one is D. They produce large quantity of polygrains. It's wind pollinated flower that produce large quantity of polygrains to allow for waste. So answer to number 2 is option D. Number 3. Which of these statements is not a characteristic of wind pollinated flowers? A. Having large and feathery stigma. B. Absence of nectary glands. C. Rough and spiky surfaced polygrains. And D. Small, smooth, and light polygrains. Again, we have 4 options. 3 are characteristics of wind pollinated flowers, but 1 belongs to insect pollinated flower. And that one that belongs to insect pollinated flower is having rough and spiny surfaced polygrain. So answer to number 3 is option C. Number 4. Which of the following is not true of wind pollinated flowers? Again, we are looking for a statement that is not true of wind pollinated flowers. A. Large amount of polygrain produced. B. Large pendulous anthers. C. Small inconspicuous flowers. And D. Scented petals. A. Large amount of polygrain produced, that is true, to allow for waste. B. Large pendulous anther. Yes. If you look at the grasses, maize, you see the anther hanging freely like a pendulum. So B is characteristics of wind pollinated flower. C, small inconspicuous flower. Yes, that's its character. But when it comes to D, they are not scented because the scents are to attract insects. So, answer to number 4 is option D. Number 5, which of the following statements below is not true of fertilization in flowering plants? Now, this question is based on fertilization in flowering plants. And so, anyone that is not describing the procedure is the one you are looking for. It's not true of fertilization in flowering plants. A, it is also known as double fertilization. B, polytube carries 3 nuclei to the ovary. C, a male nucleus fuses with the egg in the ovary. D, the polytube penetrates the ovary through the micropyle. We know that fertilization in flowering plants is double because 2 nuclei are carried to the ovary and 3 nuclei are carried to the ovary. One of them is tube nucleus and the other 2 are main nuclei. When the polytube gets to the oval and the entrance, there's a small hole, they call it micropyle. It stops at that point and the blind end of the tube dissolved with the pollen nucleus and the 2 main nuclei migrates into the oval in the ovary. So with that, we cannot pick our answer correctly. It is known as double fertilization because one of the main nuclei fertilize the egg and the other one fuse with the secondary cell in the oval to form endosperm. B, polytube carry 3 nuclei to the ovary. Yes, tube nucleus and 2 main nuclei. C, a main nucleus fuses with the egg in the ovary. Yes, the ovary, just to confuse you, is in the oval and the oval is inside the ovary. So D, the polytube penetrates the ovary through the micropyle. No, does it penetrate the ovary through the micropyle? So D is not correct statement here. So answer to number 5 is D.